India is on a mission to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047, a nation where innovation drives growth, opportunity empowers every citizen, and technology bridges every gap. It's a future where progress is inclusive, sustainable, and proudly made in India. Driving this transformation are India's visionary business leaders of homegrown enterprises who are redefining innovation, inclusion, and growth. From technology to sustainability, from local impact to global reach, they are the visionaries of a Viksit Bharat. TV9 Network, in association with SAP, presents Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, celebrating the minds shaping our nation's future. In this episode, we introduce you to a marketing force powering one of India's fastest growing fashion brands, Chetan Siyal, founding member and CMO of SNITCH. Chetan has been instrumental in shaping SNITCH's bold youth-first identity, bringing street-style aesthetics, high-speed fashion cycles, and data-driven strategy to the forefront of Indian menswear. Founded in 2019, SNITCH rapidly evolved from a D2C startup into a leading omni-channel brand with 100+ stores across India, redefining fast fashion for the modern Indian man. Meet the marketer redefining Indian men's fashion, driving a homegrown brand towards global relevance.
You're watching Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. I'm Krishna Kumar, and we are in conversation with Mr. Chetan Siyal, co-founder of SNITCH. Chetan, great to have you with us here. Great talking to you. Before we talk about SNITCH, I want to begin by talking about your own entrepreneurial journey. You come from a business family, originally from Bangalore, now Bengaluru. But tell us, what has been your own entrepreneurial journey and what all led you to SNITCH?
There are a lot of factors, a lot of things. Of course, we come from a, like you said, entrepreneurial journey. My father had a retail business for the longest time. And I think watching him, being with him, growing up with him, right, childhood, spending time at retail store with him, I think that it brings the Marwadi side of you that you want to do business and not do, you don't want to do corporate, right? I think that was already in our DNA. That's what we built. What happened is I was in advertising with my brother for the last 8 years before starting SNITCH. And during COVID, what we realized, and Siddharth and me go back about 18 years ago, and he's been a childhood friend for me.
Yeah, the co-founder of SNITCH, Mr. Siddharth
Dungarwal itself, yes. Right? And I think when the pandemic hit, Siddharth was already running the B2B business, was doing a lot of FOB for a lot of brands from Maduras to Arvinds of the world. And when COVID hit, he knew that retail had impacted, and then the only way to go was online. And we started off, we didn't know much about the online business, or we didn't know about business, the clothing business, if you were to do it on yourself. And this happened, and we started Googling our way to glory and started and set up a website in about 7 days. Wow. And just went live with whatever, about 30-35 products that we had with us, because we were doing B2B of that. And we took that live, started understanding. Our goal was simple: kill time during COVID, because everyone was chilling. And at least if you're able to do something fruitful and build something meaningful out of it, I think then we don't know what the future holds. And we started off, vision was very simple, like at least even if you get about 10-20 orders a day, I think let's see where this goes. Okay. And SNITCH happened. Okay,
SNITCH happened. And you're talking about B2B. I want to focus a little bit on that. You were a B2B company, which means that you were making textiles and apparel for companies without your own brand. You're making it for other brands. Usually those companies never make this massive pivot to direct to consumer, because that is a different ballgame, it's a different business altogether when you're facing the consumer. And you tell us, what was that pivot like? What was the point that really, that really pushed you into that pivot?
See, actually the pivot for us is, instead of making it for somebody else, you're making it for your own. But what happens with other brands, like you mentioned, is why is it difficult? Because they've been running a business for the longest time, for decades, in a certain format. Now to change that overnight is the biggest challenge, right? At understanding the game, figuring out what needs to happen. But for us, this is what we were doing only. And we had to only figure out how to take the next move. What do you do to get into the online business? What's the customer problem for us? And try to solve that one problem at a time.
You have a vertically integrated supply chain, and that is meant to give you a big edge over your competitors. Can you tell us how exactly it works?
It works. It's actually very simple, but it's simpler than said. From design to execution for a product to actually reach you either at your doorstep or at a store is completely managed, and I think operated in-house internally? Why is it? This helps us in actually scale, and it also helps us in speed, because when you have control over a lot of things, you know what can actually change course, or you know how to actually increase the efficiency of that particular operation at that particular standpoint. So from design till the product is manufactured and till it reaches your doorstep, everything, that's the mode for us. How is it controlled, and how well are you able to identify where the gaps are, and how are you able to actually fix it at the right point in time? I think that's been the biggest deal breaker for us, and that's been the biggest mode for us, and that is why you're able to do it at scale and you're able to do it at speed. Our identification of trend, what needs to happen, when does it need to happen, is very, very well planned. Yes, we started off not having that structure and doing it very impromptu, that okay, if something is trending today, make it tomorrow, but that's where speed came into play. But today we are at a space, or at least the team is so well equipped, that you're able to identify trends much beforehand. You're able to actually figure out what are keyword searches, what's happening, what are people actually anticipating and looking out for. And if you're able to bring that out just in time, I think that's where our operational efficiency is there. Because if you're bringing out products which are not going to sell, that's the biggest drawback for us, and that's the biggest non-operational efficiency that you can actually hold on to yourself.
Tell us, how did that happen? From B2B to a direct-to-consumer brand which is purely online, and a purely online brand, which means all your promotion, brand building has all happened online. And here you are in the classic format of fashion retail, which is stores and iconic stores in iconic locations.
Right. I think, that was again the biggest advantage that we had, because we were an online first brand. So we knew where our customers are, who's ordering. You had all the data. That's the biggest gold mine for you. When you know who's where, you're able to actually reach to him very directly and much more closely. But as a business, clothing or apparel space is a very touch and feel factor. So we very well knew that online is not going to be only online. You will have to do an offline venture as well. I think 2.5 years down the line, we started off with our first physical store in Jayanagar, Bengaluru. What we saw, the kind of love that we actually received, and the reverse impact of it that happened, is when we started tracking some metrics, we realized that the orders from that particular vicinity not just increased, but it doubled. What we also realized from there is that these stores are acting as a trust building factor for you, because when online at scale, there are so many brands which are not able to deliver a certain promise. But when you're physically out there and people are seeing it and living it and are also able to come in and experience the whole journey, I think that built a lot of trust for us. As we scaled, we realized that, this is a great model to have. You are going to be online so that you can reach much larger audience, but how can I get closer to the ones that you already have? And that's where the offline kicked in. We set a vision for ourselves that, the vision at least is 100 stores. And we did that in 18 months. And we launched our 100th store in December last year, which is 2025.
Vision of Viksit Bharat was put forward by Prime Minister Modi. That vision, he himself has said many times as well, is going to be built by Indian companies, Indian businesses, who are going to take the leap even. How do you see a brand like SNITCH, an apparel brand like SNITCH, because apparel is a hugely competitive sector, hugely important sector for India as well. How do you see SNITCH being a part of this entire travel, this journey towards Viksit Bharat 2047?
We're actually very excited about it also, right? And if you actually see, this is the vision, this is the core vision. Sure, it's not in the front line, but back of the mind, you want to impact lives. How are you able to impact life? How is Bharat as an economy, as a country, right? How do you put it on the map? Today, the number of brands that are uprooting, the kind of employment that India is generating, the kind of skill sets that Indian people are actually empowering themselves with, the kind of new ventures that are actually coming into India, and the thought leadership that is being born out of India. I think it's a very clear vision. It's a very definite, I think 2047 is very conservative. I think it's going to happen much before that, is what I think. The number of brands that are able to actually scale and grow today and are able to actually create that impact, the kind of job opportunities that are actually going to happen, the education, the literacy rate that's going to actually just go high, is only driving or going towards being a Viksit Bharat.
One of the thoughts, last couple of thoughts, artificial intelligence is changing the game for everybody. How does SNITCH leverage AI and other cutting edge technology?
We leverage actually AI in a lot of businesses. We've optimized so much, again, speed, efficiency, right? What a designer used to take about 3 days can get completed today in 1 day. There are redundant tasks like creating just a tech pack. I'm just using that as an example, right? When a design is made, you create a tech pack that goes out to a manufacturer or an OEM to produce. Instead of doing it manually, you have AI that can just make that, simplify it and send it out. Design inspirations, or again, if you take from a retail standpoint, stores, identifying heat maps, even the VM, you don't need a physical person actually manning the store and identifying the challenges of placing a product. Where should it be placed? How should it be placed? I think tools actually identify it, give you some signals, you know what, this is the appropriate place, this is where the most consumers are actually going, and you're able to digest that data and take appropriate and measures to make it better.
So in the sense, you're already driven by AI.
Yeah, 100%. Okay,
last question. What would be your message, goodwill advice to all consumer brands being
I think you should, it's not just to FMCG, but anybody actually venturing out or anybody building brands and businesses today. I think this goes out to everyone, because this has been built in our DNA and philosophy also. I think speed is the biggest moat. Stop thinking, start doing. It's okay to start scrappy and revolutionize the product much later. Perfection can come later. There is no such thing as perfection. So many brands that we've known in our circles or have been chasing perfection and have not been able to actually go to market just because of that, right? I think do it. You can always iterate it in the long run. Start scrappy, but think smart. There is so much information and tools and guidance available today for you to not make the mistakes. So I think the consumption economy is only growing. So there is full power in the way people consume, if it's the right product, if it's the right fit for that consumer that you're targeting. I think the ocean is pretty huge, and just go take a dive. The ocean is pretty huge, just go take a dive. Chetan, thank you so much for taking time to be with us here on Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. Thank you. And with that, it's a wrap here from my side. Thank you so much for watching.
Next, meet Mr. Shrenik Ghodawat, Managing Director of the Sanjay Ghodawat Group, a dynamic leader steering one of India's fastest growing multi-dimensional conglomerates. From expanding Star Air to strengthening rural markets and renewable energy, he is powering innovation and contributing to India's journey toward a Viksit Bharat.